Welcome to the Intentional Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Cindy Wetland, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Simon Severino. All the way from Vienna, he is the founder of Strategy Sprints, and he's a global expert in helping leaders scale their impact with speed, clarity, and intention. Simon is a business coach, a strategist, and an author who's worked with leaders around the world. What he helps them with is navigating complexity, to grow with confidence, and to stay resilient in the face of constant change. Might that be appropriate for you? I bet it is. His work is rooted in real-time results, not just theory, and his approach blends bold strategy with very human insights. In today's episodes, we're going to explore what it takes to be fast and focused and why resilience is a leadership muscle worth building. The mindset that helps leaders move from reactivity to intentionality is what Simon focuses on, especially under pressure. So if you're ready to rethink how you lead in fast-moving times, this conversation will meet you right where you're at. Okay. I want to officially welcome Simon Severino to our podcast this morning. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm excited.
Hey, Cindy, thanks for having me. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, so I got connected through you. We got connected through our websites and through our podcast application form, and we got a chance to talk. And I was so excited to get to know a little bit more about you, about your business, and for the audience. I think what you're dealing with in your business, the things that you do to contribute to leadership, are so essential in today's world. So I'm excited to dip into what you do and the value you provide to leaders. So what I wanted to start with is your focus as a business is on coaching, business coaching, particularly around strategy. And right from the get-go, I was kind of curious, why do you see that as so essential to leaders and organizations today? What is it that's driving the importance of strategy?
Without strategy, whatever you do is probably wrong because you can be the fastest person in a marathon, but if you're running in the wrong direction, that's not helpful. My mentor's mentor, Peter Drucker, used to visualize it as you can do the right thing, you can do the wrong thing, you can do it efficiently, and you can do it with less efficiency. What's the best thing to do? What's the worst thing to do? The worst thing to do is the wrong thing efficiently. That's why strategy matters. So you can run the marathon in the wrong direction. Hopefully you are very slow. That's less damage than if you are the fastest in the wrong direction.
Yeah. I love
That's why
that.
strategy matters.
Yeah.
As a leader, as somebody with responsibility, we are always in the heat of the moment, in responsibility, in meetings, in decisions. And if we just do that, we actually have no idea what the overall picture is.
Yeah.
And so you can optimize speed without strategy, but speed plus direction is velocity. And in a team, you don't want speed, you want velocity. Velocity is speed, including the right direction.
Yeah. And are you a runner by any chance?
I am.
Have you run a marathon by any chance?
Yes, marathons, triathlons. Yes.
Oh,
I run every day.
okay. All right, so you're doing this literally and figuratively.
Literally and figuratively, yeah.
That is fantastic. I have great admiration. My husband and I actually got to a half marathon a couple times, but after that I was like, okay, I'm done. I accomplished the goal.
Yes. Yes,
So,
and there is a link between leadership and endurance sports. Many leaders become endurance athletes at some point.
yeah.
Start either running or biking or swimming or something that is linked to endurance for many reasons. One is resilience.
Yes.
One is mindset. And one is because leadership at some point you realize that leadership is an inner game. And so when you run for 2 hours, that's when the work happens. This is when you and your agreements with yourself come together. This is when you review yourself, when you prioritize, when you realign.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. That and I know you do a lot of work in resilience and mindsets. Before we go there, in the back of you is your book Strategy Sprints. So
Mhm.
what is a strat when you talked about strategy, going the speed plus the direction equals velocity, how does strategy sprints fit into that?
Any team that wants to perform needs a direction and execution, right? So the practical thing is, and then there are some principles of flow that you have to build in so that people are motivated and don't burn out, but actually get more energy from doing. Because there is also doing that depletes you. If you allow that, you have a team that burns out. So you have
Yeah,
to create the conditions for when you when you exert energy that you get more energy back. Again,
yes,
similar to sports, because if you want to have more energy, you actually go and work out, which is
yeah,
counterintuitive. You go, oh no, but I don't want to spend energy. I want to receive energy. Well, you receive energy if you spend energy in a workout.
yes, yes,
Same thing
yeah,
with teams. When you have a task that's a full swim lane, so it is end to end your task. You don't have to stop after 3 meters and ask somebody for something.
yeah.
You get energy. And if you have a task that's not a swim lane, where you have to ask multiple times, you have to stop and ask, stop and ask, stop and ask, stop and go to a committee, stop and read a report, stop and ask. This is where you get depleted.
Yes.
And so on Monday, the strategy sprints method is very simple. Every Monday, what's the most important thing to do? And everybody tells it. On Friday, okay, what did we do? What do we learn from this? What are our top 3 mistakes? Gold medal, silver medal, bronze medal mistake. Oh, my gold medal mistake. I forgot to call back that very important person, and I
Yeah.
realized it when it was too late. We lost the deal.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do we learn? Oh, next time, if I can't call them back, I will hand it over to somebody who can call them back quicker because velocity matters.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love a gold medal mistake because it really gets to that whole sense of growth moving forward, and also knowing that mistakes happen, things get missed, and being able to talk about it openly and vulnerably helps everybody grow and get through it more effectively. It's a I
Yes,
love the process.
we we have done sprints in 20 plus industries. Some of them, they are afraid of mistakes. Think
Mm,
of aerospace, defense,
yes.
uh, um, uh, medical doctors who do surgeries.
Yes.
Those industries are trimmed to never make a mistake for good reasons.
Yes, absolutely.
But when you're a team in there, if you never make mistakes, you actually never learn. So
Yes.
there needs a space where mistakes just cannot happen. That's in accounting, surgery, and when you fly a plane.
Yes.
But then there needs also another space where every week you can run experiments. You're expected to do some small mistakes because if tiny mistakes, because
Yes.
if you don't do them small enough and frequently enough, are you even exploring the limits of what you can produce, of what you can improve?
Yes, 100%. And I think it's a great mindset, as you said, and it also feeds into some of the things I want to ask you about with fear and resistance and resilience, all those kinds of concepts embedded in there. And it sounds like what you're saying is organizationally, the output has to be there. It has to be effective. It has to be accurate. The process that we're going to get to make that end result or to produce that end result has to be full of learning and growth. And that's how innovation happens too. Like if we aren't willing to try something and see if it works, we're never going to be as innovative as we could be because it's not safe. That's fantastic. So you and I did talk a bit about resilience, and when you think about best practices around resilience, what would come to mind for even your top two or three? How leaders and organizations and teams can be more
Mhm.
resilient? What would that look like to you?
One is flow,
Mm.
one is the weekly dashboard, and one is psychological safety.
Mm.
So let's start with safety because we were just talking about the mistakes.
Yes.
Um, Psychological safety, this is something that came up when Google made the research, what makes high performance teams in the modern age, right? And this is what researchers like Brené Brown then picked up
Yeah.
and said, oh, okay, this is about vulnerability. How do we get more vulnerable?
Yeah.
And the reason why psychological safety matters is because if you don't have it, everything else gets muted. Innovation, trying stuff out, learning, communication, everything gets muted. And that makes you really uncompetitive. It makes you slow. It makes you fearful. So you will learn less. And when you learn less, you are not going to outcompete your competitors.
Wow.
Psychological safety matters. One way to do this is every Friday, ask for the gold medal mistakes, silver medal
Yeah.
mistake, and bronze medal mistakes, because now you are reframing that to be something positive. I
Yeah.
expect from you mistakes, and it's
Yes.
okay to do them. The other one is flow. Imagine you're playing Angry Birds and you're shooting the bird, and it says 600 points. Now you shoot the next bird, and it says 800 points. What do you want to do next?
Yeah.
Most people want to shoot again because it's so positive. Oh my God, can I make 900?
Yes.
So that's a positive loop,
Yeah.
must be immediate, must be quantitative, must be visual. And there is even a sound, something like,
Yes.
um, so you see these four elements, that's what creates flow. And now that's why people want to shoot the next bird. So we have to design work like that. A little
Hmm.
bit gamified,
Yeah.
visual, in small chunks, and you get immediate feedback. Now, how many tasks in an American corporation right now are designed like that?
Yeah.
And how many are more like, okay, you do something, so you shoot the bird, and then it says, in 3 weeks, you will get a CRM report from SAP, and it will tell you your results.
Right.
That's not
And I've
flow,
forgotten
and
it. I
that's
have no energy around that. Whatever.
zero energy, right? Nobody has. And
Yes.
that's why it feels like that.
Yeah.
So the strategy sprints method was born out of that frustration. We want everybody to work in swim lane so they can do stuff end to end. They get immediate feedback if what I have just put effort in, if it works, if somebody's happy about it, if anybody would miss it if it wasn't here, and what can be improved. So
Sure.
that's one loop in a strategy sprint. It's always 7 days. Monday, what's the most important thing to do? Friday, what did we learn? And part of that is the sprint dashboard. Very simple spreadsheet, but everybody reports some wins and we celebrate wins first. What were your wins of this week? That's the first Friday question.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
This,
Well, and I think this when you think about the psychology of what gives us energy these days and why video games and all the things are so popular and things are gamified is because it does matter. And I think as this new generation of people are growing up, they have been taught that that matters. And that feedback of how I'm doing with Angry Birds or the game or whatever it is built into how we expect to perform at work. So now I'm doing, as you said, I'm doing something at work and I don't get any feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. It's less energizing. And I think this is so meaningful generation wise as well, because different generational workers need different things. So you're really appealing to what's important as people are entering into the workforce. I
yes.
absolutely.
My kids play video games, and I see there is a quest.
Yes.
There is very quick communication
Yes.
between the teams, and there's clear roles. So one
Yes.
quest, save the princess from the dragon. Clear quest.
Yes.
Doesn't need to be super meaningful, but it's clear enough, and
Yeah.
it can be, if it's a little bit fun, they go for it. And then the clear roles, okay, you are the shooter, you are the medic, you are the guy who brings the fruits. And there is real-time communication. You are
Yeah.
not waiting for 3 days later when the meeting happens.
Yeah.
You say immediately, hey, I'm gonna go through the left window. What do you do? Okay, I'm waiting here. So these three
Yeah.
things, if you can build these three things into your work,
Yeah.
clear mission, quest,
Yeah.
we call them even quests. We do quests with our clients, 90 days quests, 60 days quests. If a sales team doesn't perform well, they're like not so motivated, we go, okay, cool guys, let's do a 90 days quest. What sucks right now? They go, oh, prospecting, I don't want to call people. Okay, let's make it fun. What would make it fun? Let's make a 90 days prospecting quest. Okay, okay. But then you increase the energy by gamifying it and making it a collective endeavor.
Yeah. You're really getting at um, the motivational principles, not, and both intrinsic and extrinsic. The extrinsic is
Yes,
we're going to see the result, the end result.
yes,
Intrinsic motivation of, energy, a goal, purpose, role clarity, all the things that intrinsically energize us as human beings. So I think
exactly,
it's a great way to connect all the dots of motivation. Yeah, that's
exactly.
fantastic. So when you think about you've talked a lot about velocity and speed, and I know, both you and I have worked with leaders and organizations for many years, and I work with a lot of leaders who tend to fall on the side of caution rather than speed. And when you think about leading with intention and being deliberate, but also moving quickly, what are some of the things that you think are important mindset shifts? How can leaders kind of embrace velocity and leave the fear of, you know, I don't want to go too fast because I don't want to make a mistake or I don't want to do the wrong thing, etc. What
One
jumps to
thing that I
mind?
find fascinating is if you, like 30 years ago, when we would teach leaders, we would teach them models on how to map the situation, scenarios, interdependence analysis, SWOT analysis, many
Mm,
things that were very cognitive,
yes.
analytical, because things weren't moving that fast. So you were winning if you were better at thinking through things.
Mm,
Right now, if I would have to teach leaders, right, if I would have to teach my kids to become leaders, their world is different, is moving so much quicker. One tweet, but by one orange person, can change supply chains worldwide.
yes.
So that's a different situation. It's quicker. So now, if I would teach leaders now, I would make it very experiential. I think you need much less models and much less books, and you need an experiential learning. So immerse yourself in the situation, take a decision, take a decision, take a decision, review, take the decision, take
Yes.
decision, take decision, review, with limited data, because you don't have enough data.
Yes.
Right now, everybody has to decide what do they do with long-term contracts. They don't
Yes.
know how long the supply chains are going to change. You don't know it's a week, it's 6 months, but they have to decide the contract right now. So how do you do that? And if you were raised with the traditional leadership methods, now you are too slow.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed.
So what I am studying personally to get better at decision making, to get faster, is probabilities.
Mm.
Again, my mentors was Peter Drucker. Uh,
Yeah.
Drucker, because he was in Vienna here. It was Drucker in globally. He's
Yes.
Drucker, right? Peter Drucker,
Right. You're
and
saying
he
it's
was
the correct way.
yeah, and so he was teaching us to write down every single decision. He had a little book and he would write down his decisions. And so we would write down our decisions, but we had like one entry per month.
Yeah.
Right now, I have 20. I still write down my decisions.
Do you?
I have 20 entries per hour, Cindy, per hour. They are smaller decisions, but they are more frequent. And I have added two things: probability of winning, POW, probability of losing, POL,
Yeah.
and probability of ruin, POR. And I write it down in percent. So 20 decisions per hour. I work 9-10 hours per day. So I take 200 decisions a day. And I write down what's the probability that this decision is going to win. So a successful decision, the right decision, 55%. Losing is always just the opposite. That would be a 45%. Ruin means it's irreversible and it would create serious damage for the organization.
Okay.
So at ruin, if it's just at 10%, that's a problem. You shouldn't take it. You shouldn't do it. These are the three things. And it's not really math, right? It's second level math. But I think this is what leadership needs. You need to become very good at taking decisions very quickly under uncertainty with a lack of data.
Yeah.
But you have to create the conditions for you to be quick at taking 200 decisions and being 80% right.
Yeah.
I think the goal should be 80% right.
Okay. This is fascinating to me. I just taught a class last week to a group of, I think there was 30 some leaders, and we were talking it was a small class, 2 hours, but it was all about decision making. And these are financial people, so they're very analytical. But the thing that you are suggesting is really reshaping the muscle in your brain of how you decide, paying attention to how, and that was what I was trying to get them to explore last week, is even how do you currently decide? And
Yeah.
then deciding with more intention, and I think what you're getting at too is more speed, and we have to train ourselves to do that. We have to
Yeah.
be able to say, okay, what would I be looking at differently that would allow me to go faster,
Yeah.
but also analyze the risk involved.
Yes.
And
Always risk management is the most important thing as a leader.
yeah,
Absolutely. That's what we get paid for.
yes,
That's why we sleep the worst of, because we carry that responsibility both legally and economically if we lead an organization.
yeah,
And so we should really be held accountable for our decisions. And the speed of the decision increases when two things happen. One is the volume of your decisions because you get better at pattern recognition and you
yes,
see the patterns quicker.
yes,
Oh, I saw this 8 times already. Okay, this is the 9th time of the same thing. Okay, let's move in that direction. Everybody looks at you. What? How can we move in that direction?
yeah,
Trust me, I saw this 9 times. Let's go there.
yeah,
And because you are faster, you are the leader. That's pretty a one-on-one relationship. And the second thing is it's emotional work. So I just took this decision. It was wrong. Now I go into the next meeting. I have to decide again. How can I quickly refresh, reset, not bring the baggage from that meeting to this meeting, even if it was 7 seconds ago? How can I reset? Sometimes it is. How can I reset, refresh? You meet CEOs. I meet CEOs. Sometimes you have to decide 7 seconds later the next thing, but you don't have the time to take a break, go have a coffee, and reset yourself. So you have to get into. You have to create a space inside of you. That's why we journal, because when you journal, you create a space inside of you, and that's always with you.
yes.
And that space is also how quickly can you let go of emotions? Because an emotion is an attachment to the past, And it means that you are carrying now an old pattern into the present moment. That makes you a worse decider.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're judging yourself for the past, essentially. And I think it's a hard thing to do when you think about decision making, and as you're talking about it, that speed and the conditions to get it right, it means you're deciding right now based on what you know. Then you go forward and you think, oh, that didn't work. So I think a lot of times people beat themselves up for looking backwards and saying, oh, I didn't make the right decision. But you're making the decision you made at the time because of what you knew at the time. And then you might get more information that suggests, okay, maybe that wasn't the best one. But rather than looking back and saying, oh, I shouldn't have done that, shoulda, woulda, coulda, there's no value in that. There's value in looking back and learning what you want to do different and growing from it, but not, as you said, the emotional energy to stay stuck in that. Because I think what happens then is people then think, I don't want to go that fast in the future because it was the speed that was problematic that
The speed,
contributed
yeah,
to
the
that.
speed is never problematic.
Right,
Only,
right. That's the
only
irony.
the process exactly. And if we
Yeah,
get afraid of speed, should we really be leading that team, that
yeah,
organization? Maybe somebody else should, right? So
yeah,
we should be the role model of how to take good decisions with limited data, because that
yeah,
empowers everybody else, because they have to take as many decisions as we have to also during the day, and um, we need to be the role model on that.
yeah,
Another thing is not judging your decisions based on the outcome, because
yeah.
the outcome actually doesn't tell you if it was the right decision. The process tells you if it was the right decision. You can take the right decision and it goes wrong. You can take the wrong decision and it goes right.
Yeah.
That's why process matters.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And training yourself to have thoughtfulness about what that is. And as you said, looking for the patterns, which I think is really important to notice and be more cognizant of and bring that to the surface. I think sometimes, again, as you said, businesses are moving so quickly, leaders are moving so quickly. It's hard to be deliberate about what those patterns are or even what you're doing. And as you said, I think journaling is so important because it captures that experience, it captures what's going on in your head, how you feel about it, and just noticing and being more self-aware, which is always very profound. Yeah, I love that. Um, all right, so my notes are crazy on this page. Things you say, I'm trying to highlight, capture at the same time. And I think what I love about the work you're doing is you're creating leader's mindset and you're creating systems within the team that they lead to do all this more successfully in a way, and teaching them and coaching them and supporting them. In exploring your website, which we'll put in the show notes, you have so many awesome tools that you provide and resources and ideas for how people can do this more and better, which is hugely beneficial and hugely valuable. I've just been so impressed with all the work you're doing in creating that
Yes,
infrastructure.
yeah, the tools, they come back to process, right? We have
Yeah.
this whole page, strategysprints.com/tools, full of
Yes.
tools. And the reason is we go back to process. Whenever things are hard or fast or need to be done faster than I can actually do it, that's when I need a process. We
Yeah.
don't we don't we don't rise up to the levels of our goals. We fall down to the levels of our current processes. And so with
Mm,
good tools, under harsh conditions, we still can maintain good quality of operations, good quality of risk management, and
yeah.
never fall below our standards. This is very important as a leader, as an organization. Always keep the standards uh, at at the level that you need to hold, right? And so under
Yeah.
pressure, I go back to processes. For example, um, I had to do more reach out, but I wasn't feeling like reaching out. I was like, no, I don't want to bother anybody. And so I go to my prospecting system. It's a process, right? It reminds me, oh, these are the 5 steps. Okay, let's do step 1, step 2. And I check them off literally. It gives me back that
Yes.
energy because it makes it small, right?
Yes.
1, go to their LinkedIn profile. 2, send them the message. Now it's so small, I can do it. It's a process. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
It gives me that safety. It makes it
Yes.
small, so it's not overwhelming anymore. And you see, when stress comes at you, a process helps you get going, still keep going,
Yes. Moving.
keep
Yeah.
moving.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you think then about so many of the things we've talked about, are you saying organizationally and within a team and within your brain, here are the things that will help contribute to speed and success and velocity and whatnot. So you're helping to build the infrastructure in people's brains and work to get it done. What do you most often see in leaders that you work with that creates the most fear or resistance to what you're trying to teach them to do? Where do people get stuck?
One thing is overthinking,
Okay.
because traditionally you would never get fired for having an amazing plan,
Yeah.
right? That changed. Right now, nobody cares about your plan. Nobody even has a plan. There is no plan. And if you have a plan,
Ironic.
everybody's laughing at you. Oh, he has a plan, funny beginner.
Right.
Yeah, there is no plan. And so,
Oh,
so
Simon.
forget plans, right? So right
Yes.
now it's different. A good leader right now is somebody who can stand in a very uncertain situation and still be calm and move forward.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but this is what's next. Let's
Yeah.
schedule a meeting with that organization.
Yes. Yes. And that's a really, I love that stand in uncertainty and how comfortable are you, I mean, anyone listening, how comfortable are you doing that? Because that is really the nature of business and work right now, especially with everything going on with the economy right now. It's kind of like we don't know. We don't know all the answers. And the more people stay stuck, it's not benefiting them. It's not adding value to the team, to the organization, or to ourselves because we get so focused on the stress associated with being unable to move. That's a very stressful situation.
Yeah.
And state to be in. So, how did you get here? When you feel like, the past, all the things that you're helping organizations with, helping leaders, what was the experience to get you to where you are today that
Mhm.
shaped you to have these processes and strategies in place that you're even offering to
Yeah.
organizations?
So, first of all, I'm a man. And as a man, I think we are biologically wired. We need a big problem. Give me a big problem. I want to solve it.
Yes.
That's what we need. If I don't have that, oh my God, I'm a terrible father, husband, friend. I'm irritating everybody. So I need a big problem. Give me
Okay.
a big problem. It becomes my adventure. And I
Okay.
love that. So if I don't have that, I go and run a triathlon just to have that big problem that I can work myself into, right?
Okay.
So, this is how I'm wired.
Yeah.
And because of that, I have decided that I will put this in service of business owners. So I've
Yes.
decided I am devoting my life to helping business owners. And I want their biggest problem. Give me your biggest problem, and I want to solve it with you because that's what makes me happy.
Yes.
This is how I started 22 years ago. And I was sitting there in the boardroom. What's the biggest problem right now? Boy, they have a ton of problems. They say, our competitor is taking market shares in that country. This product, we launched it, it killed 3 people. So they're full of problems. And I said,
Yes.
okay, let's pick the biggest one. What's the biggest one? Which one do we take on this week? That became the strategy sprints method.
Oh, fantastic. Well, and it sounds like that is so energizing for you. And for some people, it's not. Some people look at problems and big problems and all the challenges, and then they get so overwhelmed again when you talk about overthinking and how do we create a game plan? How do we solve all those things? No, we're not going to do that. What are we going to do? What is most problematic? And how do we move forward on that and just be more agile in our thinking and our problem solving and decision making? So,
And
and you've built a business on
oh,
that.
I would be overwhelmed too if I didn't have processes. But because I
Yeah.
know that I have 274 processes plug and play ready, I say, hey, give me your biggest problem. Let's do
Yes.
this.
You have 274 processes ready to go.
Yeah, many of them are for free on our page,
Ah,
strategysprints.com.
you are so cool.
Many are in the book, Strategy Sprints.
Yes, yes, yes. So I got to get the book. I have been checking out your tools, and I think that it's so great because in the absence of what tools or even at where to get the tools and what are appropriate tools and what are high quality tools. I think the fact that you have an overall strategy, that you're focused on strategy, can reassure people that the tools that you're providing are going to work because you've demonstrated how they're going to work. And connecting to what is your problem, here's the appropriate tool. It's really huge, I think, for people. So you are the problem solver, and you want to partner with people to solve their problems. So at the heart, that's your business. It's fantastic.
Yes, yes, I need a mission. Give me a big problem,
Yeah.
and I'm happy when I solve it.
Okay. And I bet a lot of people actually have a lot of problems that they would love you to solve. So my last question is, you have worked with a lot of leaders around the world, and obviously I named my company Intentional Leaders because I think people that are very deliberate in what they're doing, thoughtful about, and have a high self-awareness, to me, that's key to leadership. And even in the space that you're talking about, how agile are you at solving problems and how fast can you move, all those kinds of things. So what separates, in your opinion, intentional leaders, people that are more deliberate, from people that are more reactive? What's a key difference from your perspective?
That's interesting because the times are collapsing so much. I often get asked, Simon, should I even have a 5 years plan, a 3 years plan?
Yeah.
And I say,
Yes.
yes, still do it, but don't take it so seriously. And
Mm,
don't put a lot of time in the details. So how we solve this, having a long-term horizon, but being very agile in the moment,
yes.
is we have eliminated everything in between. We only have the 3 years vision. That's the grand strategy, if you want. So in a company that's, we are gonna be every kid will have a computer on his desk. So that's
Yes.
the grand strategy, 3 years. But then we have eliminated all the milestones in between, no milestones. There is only the week. Now, the next
Mm,
7 days, what's the most important thing to do? And
yeah.
everybody reports on Monday. I'm going to work on the cables. I'm going to work on the marketing. I'm going to do the brochures. I'm going to send out the emails. I'm going to build the software. And so everybody has one swim lane over the next, from now until Friday. That's
Yeah.
5 days. 5 days and 3 years, and nothing in between. This is how the agile world has solved for this,
Yes.
because you don't want to be reactive. So you have the 3 years vision, but you also don't want to be stiff following a plan while the world is moving. That's why 5 days.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great It's a great strategy. It's a great strategy shift and mindset shift, that we're not looking at huge milestones that are out there. Again, the whole concept, I don't know if you've read the book Atomic Habits, James Clear.
I did,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, that kind of small, short, get it done,
Yes.
think differently, act differently, create very small things that make a big impact. But as you're saying, we're not just doing those small things, they're in the context of the bigger strategy and what we want to do, and making sure people are making that connection, which I think
Yeah.
is really important.
he
Yeah.
shows how if you just improve 1% every week, that is actually, it compounds exponentially. That's an
Yes.
amazing graphic in that book. When you see that, you go, oh my
Yes.
God, that's actually disruptive change if I just do 1% improvement.
Yeah.
And I think so that's one thing. And the other thing is, okay, but what's the direct? It could be also reactive, everyday reactive a little bit to reacting to something. That's why you still need the 3 years level, but don't think too much about it. It's very rough
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it will change.
Yeah. And letting go of that. Again, one of the things that human beings and adults like is certainty. Certainty is, or the lack of certainty is such a stress trigger for people. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know what the outcome is going to be, which keeps people again paralyzed and stuck and overthinking and
yeah.
whatnot. And again, and I know I keep reinforcing this because I think what you're trying to do is help people get unstuck through tools, resources, processes, mindset shifts, new skills in the way that people are thinking and doing and leading. And I just think it's brilliant because you're bringing everything together that people need to do what you're saying. You're not just saying, here, do this. And I have one piece of it. You have all the pieces of it.
And I feel it when somebody says, I'm risk averse. I totally resonate with it. I am risk averse. So I have 3 little kids. So my wife and I, we have organized the whole week and the next week. If
Yeah.
somebody says, hey, something is going to change, or your kid is going to be sick, we don't like that change. So we're risk averse. We don't want anybody to get sick, nothing to
Yes.
change. We stay here forever in this neighborhood. Not, please, nothing change. Okay.
Yes.
We are just organized. Please don't change anything. So we
Exactly.
are very risk averse. On the other side, the highest risk, the most risky thing is to never expose yourself to small risks because that's
Yeah.
the only thing that makes you too rigid.
Yeah. So how do you do that
So,
with your family?
yeah,
I mean, because it's
yeah,
true. I mean, we talked about that before we started. Like, you got your
yeah,
hands full with 2 and 6 and 9-year-olds.
yeah. Well, the same thing.
Yeah.
POL, POV, POR. So, hey, our daughter is sick. Now, one of us
Yes.
has to change something. Okay. My wife and
Yeah.
I look each other deep in the eyes. We sip a coffee, and it's like a cowboy movie. Okay. Do you now cancel your meetings or do I
Yeah.
cancel my meetings?
Yes.
So that's the first thing. And that decision needs to be fast, right? As we try to rotate. Okay. This time it's me, then it's you. And then the, and it needs to be fair. Like, what kind of meetings are you canceling?
Yes.
Am I canceling? And then we go through it. Okay, what's the probability of ruining? Hey, if you cancel your meetings, ooh, that could impact how we pay our mortgage. Okay, well then let
Yeah.
me cancel mine. Okay,
Yes.
so that's the
Good
difference.
idea.
Yeah, again, POL, POW, POR. So
Yes.
I can cancel the tennis match, but I should probably not cancel the workshop, right?
Right.
Same thing. POR, probability of ruin of canceling the tennis match. Okay, it's zero.
Simon.
Okay, let's cancel the tennis match.
Yes. So you're implementing your strategies in your household. Is your wife wired
Yeah.
the same way?
You have to be. When you have 3 kids, you become a project manager. You become a risk manager.
I love that. It's true. It's true. That's fun. I bet you have some fun date nights too, talking about all this. What's
We
working.
do, we do. Yes, you have to plan some time together too. Otherwise, you are just a project manager.
Yes, that's not really okay. But what's so back, and this was probably 20 years ago in my career, at least, there was an organization that we worked with, and they were advocating for, and again, at that time, way back in the day, there wasn't as much agile processes or practices or even thinking. It was back like, ooh, we need a strategic plan, and we need a 20-year plan, and 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, all the things like, oh, so the times were a little different. But this organization was advocating for something very similar to what you do, which was, and it was called an accelerator, productivity accelerator. And it was all about what are you committing to at the beginning of the week? What did you do at the end of the week? And that process and practice of doing that was to keep everybody focused and to get the results. And again, I saw the value of that and I saw the benefit of it. What I think differentiates what you're doing and enhances the value and effectiveness of what you're doing is again back to the you're not just advocating for that discipline, you're creating tools, processes, gamifying the work to get people excited about it, shifting leaders' mindset to do it and to execute it, and to overcome some of their own fear and resistance in it. So it's not just the strategy of doing it, it's wrapped around what does it take for a human being to execute this?
It's to maximize learning. So
Yes.
if you just have more output, maybe it's the wrong output. Maybe
Yes.
it's the right output, but you are not learning anything about the clients, the colleagues, about yourself, the product, the services. So it's really to maximize learning. The most important thing in an organization is learning. Are we learning more about what the customer needs, what the shareholder needs, what the our colleagues need, what the product is capable of, um, what we could improve?
Yeah.
You want to maximize for learning. That's why the Friday sessions have these 3 mistakes questions,
Yes.
and everybody has one simple number from their swim lane because you want to learn about that. And if you do it 3 weeks in a row and that number is not going up, then we should discuss, is this really the most important thing to do? And are we
Yeah.
doing it the right way?
Yeah. Yes. That's fantastic. So what I'm going to put in the show notes is, of course, your website, your LinkedIn profile, for people to contact you and get in touch. And if you think about people listening right now, and think about, ooh, I want to contact Simon. I want to work with him. What would be the thing that people would contact you with? I know you said you enjoy the problem, the big problem. And if you could be like, what would people contact you for right now? What would it be?
Yeah, first step, I would say read the book. If you go to
Yeah.
wherever you buy books, buy strategy sprints, you can probably answer a lot of your questions that you have. Now, after that, if you want to go deeper and actually grow your business, that means really optimizing the sales and marketing processes.
Yep.
Then let's talk. And
Okay.
the way to talk to me is you go to strategysprints.com and then you hit try 7 days free, because I've created a possibility for everybody to walk into our house, stay there for 7 days without paying anything, and they can
Yeah.
enjoy everything. They can try out the tools, meet the people. I always wanted to have an open house so that they can come in, because it's always risky. Yeah, you don't know this guy. He can
Yeah.
tell me anything, but what if the tools are crappy?
Okay.
What if the people are low quality people in there?
Yeah.
So you have to test, right? And so
Yeah.
there is a 7 days testing period. They come
Mhm.
in, they have a look, they see if it fits for them, and
Yeah.
then they decide if they wanna go deeper.
That is awesome. I love that. I love the process and what you're doing. Back to something you initially said at the beginning of our discussion is about psychological safety. You're allowing them the psychological safety to come in and see it and experience it. And as you said, what's this? What are those tools? What are the strategy? What kind of value and support are you offering and creating for them? Which is very
The
powerful.
buyer, yes, you just spotted the most important point. The buyer is always at risk. If I take
Yeah.
this decision, what if it's the wrong decision? Do I lose time, money, reputation, image? And
Yeah.
so if you are an organization, really the most important question to ask is how can we make it safe and easy for people to buy?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And you're modeling all the things that you're also teaching them to do, which is noticeable and important. Simon, thank you. I am endlessly grateful for meeting you and for you carving out the time today in your very busy life. And I know you have a lot going on, but to talk about not just your business, which I think is fantastic, but all the things below the surface that you're thinking of to support what value you're offering to leaders and companies. And those to me, the mindset shift, the resilience, the learning, the growth, the mistake making, all those things are just a part of who you are, your brand, and the organization that your culture that you're creating. So I just, as I told you previously, I'm going to be stalking your website, stalking you. I signed up for your newsletter already. And I'm excited to learn more about what you do and be able to share that with my
Thank you,
audience.
Cindy, for showing up for your leaders day in and day out and holding the space for them.
Yes, it's my honor and it's my passion. Just we share in the passion and energy for leadership and developing organizations. So I appreciate and honor what you do. And thank you for your time. What an energizing and grounded conversation with Simon. He's a powerful reminder that strategy isn't just about doing more, it's about doing what matters most. From building resilience to shifting mindsets, I think Simon's insights are a masterclass in leading with clarity, courage, and intention. So, as you reflect on today's episode, consider this. What would it look like for you to lead from a place of purpose, even when the pressure is high? And thank you for joining us today in our podcast. If this conversation sparked some new ideas or inspired a shift in your thinking, please share it. I'd love for you to leave a review or reach out and tell me what resonated. Until next time, stay focused, stay resilient, and keep leading with intention.